Jamie Plunkett, Jeremy Clark here for 24/7 Sports and HornFrogBlitz.com following a 41-6 win for TCU over Nichols, the FCS opponent of the year. Jeremy, it was a win, so that's the good thing.
Win is a win, man.
A win is a win, but not the cleanest performance from TCU. A couple of miscues on offense again. A couple miscues on defense, a lot of the same kind of scheme-wise stuff we saw from them against Colorado in Week 1. How would you assess this win for the Horned Frogs against Nichols?
I don't want to say it feels like a loss because it's 41-6 win, but I think some of the things that we still have concerns about weren't really answered. There's going to be a lot of concerns going into Houston next week with the way the offense performed. There's some questionable calls on some fourth down plays that were they 4 of 12 on third down conversions, something like that. So there's going to be obviously some concerns with the offense moving forward, but I thought some of the good things I saw was the emergence of guys like Jalen Robinson, Warren Thompson did well, and I thought Chandler played well. I thought, although they didn't throw the football down the field a whole lot, I felt like he was darn near perfect. He only had 4 incompletions. I don't have the stat line in front of me, but I think those things on offense were good. Defense, anytime, like Sonny said, if you hold a team and an opponent out of the end zone, I don't care who you're playing, that's a pretty tough thing to do, and they held Nichols out of the end zone tonight, so you got to think positive about that as well.
We saw a lot of Power 5 schools give up touchdowns to FCS opponents today. A lot of close scores at halftime for some FCS opponents.
Sure.
Clemson being one of those schools, but not a perfect game. Chandler did talk in postgame about wanting to use his legs more and trying to get over the mental hurdle of running the football after suffering that injury against Colorado last year. 61 rushing yards on the ground on 5 carries, a long touchdown run as well that seemed to spark some things for this offense. What do you think about his run game, and how much does he need to lean on that moving forward?
I mean, I loved it. I loved seeing that run, that 32-yard touchdown run. It wasn't really by design. It was just take off and scramble. It kind of gave me some flashes of Max running last year when he didn't have anything because he was so straight line. But I'll tell you what, the play I really liked is what I asked about him in the post game. That 4th and 4, they're down by the goal line. He scrambles, and when he's talking about that mental aspect, I know what he's talking about. He's worried about the knee because when kids get injured, 80% of them coming back is the mental aspect. 20% of it's physical. They always talk about that mental block. So when he made that play, he ran over a couple of defenders. His helmet pops off, and he gets up and he's ready to go back in. I think that was a big thing for his confidence, and he said as much in the post-game presser that helped his confidence a little bit. And I know TCU fans probably don't want to see that guy taking those kind of hits late in the game, especially against an FCS opponent. You want to kind of save him as much as you can, but I liked what I saw with him running the football tonight. And obviously when that helmet popped off, everyone wanted to know why wasn't Chandler back in there, and Sonny did say that they could have taken a timeout, but they kind of wanted to see what Josh would do, and we found out. But you gotta like what Chandler did tonight, throwing the ball and then running the football.
Yeah, again, you mentioned it. There was some questionable play calling there, especially in 3rd and 4th down and short situations that maybe you can get some answers on in the future, or just see some things maybe done a little differently down the road there. But overall, an okay night for the offense. It was fine. Not a lot to light the world on fire with, but not too much to get really upset about us.
There was a funny part in the press box tonight when you said that they're going for these conversions, but they're going backwards when they're going for them, and I think that's kind of what everyone was talking about. I don't go back and read the game threads religiously like a lot of people do, because if you haven't noticed, our game threads are in the thousands now, so we're not going to go back and read every comment. But I think you and I can agree that with the majority of the TCU fans on those 3rd and short situations, or even 4th and short situations, you want to see them go upfield instead of doing the swing pass. And maybe they were being vanilla tonight. Maybe they weren't showing a whole lot of things. Maybe they were trying to see what works. So that's what you do against these type of opponents. You want to see what works and what can't work, and maybe go back to the drawing board on a few of these plays. So I'm not going to harp too much on the play calling that you scored 41 points. And they get a big win out of it. So
yeah, they did take away the win. That's the most important thing to do when you're playing an FCS opponent. On the other side of the ball, before we wrap up this video, a lot of 3-man rush again tonight.
Yeah,
a lot of dropping 8 in the secondary. A lot of guys staying off the line of scrimmage when they're covering a receiver. We didn't see a ton of difference in this defense from a scheme perspective from Week 1. Is that another we're just going to be vanilla against an FCS opponent situation, or would you have liked to have seen more from this defense tonight?
They gave up 6 points. I'm satisfied with the way the defense played. I do want to see more pressure, especially from your defensive line when you're going against an offensive line that's an FCS offensive line. We didn't see a whole lot of sacks until that last drive, the second to last drive Nichols had. We saw 2 of the sacks. We saw Michael get a sack, Ibukun Okeyode, that's how you say it, I guess. And then Marcus Dill and Rick DeBrew had a combination sack. So other than that, we saw Dom Williams get a big sack early in the game, but we didn't really see a whole lot of pressure tonight. We saw the quarterback roll out several times, make throws downfield, and I think that's something that they've got to prepare for more as they start facing these faster, more agile quarterbacks in the Big 12 that can make plays with their feet, rolling out of the pocket. They're going to have to find some way to get more pressure. They're going to have to find a way to contain. I don't know how many times you and I said the word contain in the press box tonight. You got to contain those edges, and I think sometimes they get drawn in a little bit too far, and they don't have the speed to get out to the outside. But I thought the tackling was a lot better tonight. When you don't change much of the scheme and you hold a team to 6 points compared to 45 points, that tells you the tackling was bad, the coverage was bad. The coverage is another thing you and I talked about tonight that they've got to get better at, giving up those third down conversions. But you're going to give up some plays in this defense. It's people hate to hear the term, but it really is a bend don't break defense. Unfortunately, last week they broke a lot.
Yep.
And so moving forward, get a little bit better. They had emphasis on tackling this week. They did better. They had an emphasis on trying to get takeaways. They had 2 takeaways tonight. So I think they're on the right path. Am I going to jump off a cliff and say this team's going to win 5 games? Absolutely not. This is a long season, and things can change week to week. So I can't sit here and tell you what they're going to look like 2 weeks down the road, but I could probably tell you what they're going to look like after they play SMU, Houston, and get into a little bit more meat of their schedule.
A couple other things to note tonight. Another big special teams play, a blocked punt by Trent Battle that turned into a touchdown for Blake Nowell. Scooped up that ball and scored a 57-yard field goal from Griffin Kell. It was nice to see him get back on the horse tonight. First touchdowns in the Carter, not only for Jalen Robinson, but for Jordan Bailey as well, which was pretty nice to see. A couple other wide receivers going out. He got a shout-out, Bailey did, from Sonny Dykes in the postgame. Which was nice to hear. So some positive things as well as some things that the Frogs absolutely still need to grow and work on. But, like you said, we'll get another chance to see this team play come Saturday night down in Houston, kicking off the Big 12 Conference.
Houston lost tonight, right?
To Rice.
They lost to Rice.
43-41 in double overtime.
That's what you said earlier. You just don't know what you're going to get from some of these teams week to week, and I don't think anyone expected Houston to lose to Rice. And
not in the way they did.
You're going to get some upsets, and so still a lot of season left to play, guys. Still got 10 of these things left, and there's still a lot of surprises.
A lot of surprises left. You want to keep it at hornfrogblitz.com for all of the coverage of TCU football. We've got, baseball recruiting stories are popping up on the site.
This guy right here. This guy.
Basketball,
this guy.
Like a month away from stepping up. We got everything you need over at hornfrogblitz.com. If you have not already subscribed, make sure that you do that this week because you're not going to want to miss the coverage we've got coming up for the Houston game. Frogs are on the road for the first time this year. It's going to be an exciting time to see how they handle that. For Jeremy Clark, I'm Jamie Plunkett. You can catch us on hornfrogblitz.com every day this week.